Security and Justice reporter Julia Ainsley joins me now from outside of the courthouse. And Julia, let me just ask this first. Are we done for the week?
We're done for the week. We're actually done until 1 p.m. on Monday. That's a long recess for a judge that kept pressuring the defense to go as quickly as possible. I mean, we've really been breezing through this, and we actually expect prosecution to rest by next week, Chuck.
And that means Rick Gates, the former partner slash now prosecution star witness, there were some rumors he could get there on the stand today, but it looks like we got to wait for Monday on that one.
And Chuck, just walking behind me now, we did see the lawyers walk across. I didn't want you to miss that.
No. We saw, while you were talking, we saw Manafort. Don't worry. We caught Manafort walking, and we just caught Gates walking. So go.
All happening behind me. So thank you so much for catching that. That could mean something in terms of when Rick Gates might testify. Lawyers I spoke to today said they expect him to come sometime between the middle of the lineup. What we got today was a lot of the tax side. It's not the fashion side that we had at the beginning of the week where we laid out, we heard how incredibly luxurious this lifestyle was. Today we got the meat and potatoes. We found out that there were tax preparers, or at least one tax preparer, Cindy LaPorta, who was given immunity to share her testimony that she did in fact falsify, and knowingly so, some of these tax records to the tune of about $900,000, changing what would have been a much higher or much lower income because she was knowingly using some information that she knew to be false. Now we're waiting to hear from Rick Gates. We hope that'll be sometime next week. Maybe the powwow we saw behind us now is going to tell us something that's coming forward next week, Chuck.
Right.
But Rick Gates obviously will be key here, not only to the prosecution, but to the defense, who wants to use Rick Gates and discredit him to try to throw away this whole case and show that it was Rick Gates who really was the bad actor here.
I want you to tell me about another piece of testimony today. Philip Aliff, a tax preparer who I guess was put on the stand to walk us through all of his Cyprus accounts, and suddenly Paul Manafort's wife left the courtroom. Describe what happened there.
She did. It was right at this point. So Philip Aliff takes the stand. He's very dry, pretty monotonous. He's a CPA. We don't expect a lot of fireworks. But he gets to one point in his testimony that made Mrs. Manafort, Kathleen Manafort, lower her head, dab a tear, and eventually leave the room for about 5 minutes. And that is when he said, "They did not tell me that there were foreign bank accounts. Yes, I knew there were foreign entities, but I had no idea that these foreign bank accounts in Cyprus existed. And when I compiled their tax returns, I did so without knowing all of their income." That was a definite piece where Ms. Manafort realized there's some trouble here in what he's saying.
We learned a little bit. I guess did the word Trump get uttered today? Because the Manafort's Trump Tower condo and rent on that was part of some falsified documents. Where did that come up today?
I did not hear the word Trump, but definitely what they referred to as this Howard Street property was under big question today. That was really a business property. They used it as a rental. They rented it out to make more income. But Paul Manafort asked his tax preparer, Phil Aliff, who you just laid out there, to say that this was a private residence for him and his wife in New York, and that they were there many days of the year when they came to New York to do business. Philip Aliff refused to do that. He said, if you are trying to get a loan and you want me to falsify this information, I won't do that. And he very clearly, in an email that we saw, pointed out to Mr. Manafort that he was incorrect, the way he was describing that residence. Cindy LaPorta, on the other hand, was different. She came around when the Manaforts were really in a crunch time. That was 2014, 2015. The bottom was falling out. They were taking extreme measures to falsify what their income really was, what their loans really were. And she did let them blur the lines between what's a loan and what's income. So we saw two very different characters from different points in the Manafort life.
How has the Manafort attorneys explained away this testimony? Like, how are they countering? How are they cross-examining these witnesses who basically are corroborating a paper trail?
So I can't wait to hear the cross-examination of Cindy LaPorta. That will come Monday. We didn't get to that today. We did hear a pretty brief cross-examination of Aliff. The whole defense theory here, I think, can kind of be boiled down to the term breadcrumbs. They want to say that Paul Manafort left plenty of breadcrumbs for Philip Aleph and for anyone else keeping the books on Paul Manafort to understand exactly where this information was coming from. That they would have known that foreign names might have led to foreign accounts, and that really he wasn't trying to obfuscate anything. One of their arguments we heard is that only a fool would give all of this information and not expect to be audited. And we may see later when they make their final arguments that they'll say, why is the government pursuing a criminal case now when they never audited him and took civil measures for years?
Well, that'll be interesting to hear those answers when we return Monday at 1. Julia Ainsley in front of the courthouse. Busy day.
Better weather.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.